Welcome back to another session in the TAE certification series. Today, let's practice a few questions from chapter number 6 to make sure that we have understood the concepts. Question number 1. What is one of the considerations to determine the suitability of test automation? And the options are frequency of use, number of projects, availability of manual testers, and complexity of test scenarios. And the correct answer is option A, frequency of use. The frequency of test execution is a critical factor in deciding whether to automate or not. Tests that are executed more regularly, especially as part of release cycles, they are better suited for test automation. This is because automated tests, particularly those used in regression testing, they offer high ROI. So we learned about ROI, which is return on investment, and they help reduce the risks in the existing code base. Now let's go through the other three incorrect options. Option B is number of projects. So the number of projects within the organization, that's not a factor for deciding that whether it's suitable for test automation or not. So test automation decisions focus more on individual test characteristics, their frequency and compatibility with automation tools rather than the organization's project count. Then option C is availability of manual testers. So the availability of manual testers is not directly related to the suitability of test automation. The focus should primarily be on the nature of tests themselves and their potential compatibility with automation tools rather than the availability of resources. And then we have option D, complexity of test scenarios. So while test scenarios might be complex in nature, their complexity doesn't directly dictate their suitability for automation. So some complex test scenarios might be straightforward to automate and benefiting manual testers by automating difficult tasks. So the complexity of test scenarios is different from the complexity involved in automating them, because there might be few test cases which are not difficult scenarios, but they are difficult to automate, which is a separate factor that determine automation's suitability. So this can be a little bit confusing. So please make sure that you are going through the options carefully, because complexity of test scenarios and complexity in automating the test scenarios, that's like totally two different things. Question number 2. A software testing team is tasked with automating tests for a newly developed application across multiple platforms. They are considering various testing tools to support their automation efforts. Given the scenario described, what aspect must the testing team consider to prevent potential issues in test automation? The options we have are considering the age of the testing tool, understanding the level of compatibility between test tools and the software under test SUT. C. Ensuring the testing tool provides a visually appealing user interface. And D. Ignoring the popularity of the testing tools in the market. And the correct answer is B. Understanding the level of compatibility between test tools and the software under test SUT. So let's first of all have a look at why this is the correct option. In the given scenario, the testing team's success in automating tests across multiple platforms depends on understanding the compatibility between their chosen testing tools and the diversity of SUT. So this focus on compatibility because it's very important to prevent and address potential issues that might arise during the automation process. Hence, this is the correct option. Then we have option A, considering the age of the testing tool. So this one is incorrect because the scenario doesn't highlight the relevance of the tool's age in relation to preventing potential issues in test automation. So while the age of a testing tool might indicate that indicate its maturity or the updates, but the scenario doesn't specifically address this aspect. Then option C, ensuring the testing tool provides a visually appealing user interface. So the scenario revolves around automating test for a newly developed application across multiple platforms. So while a visually appealing user interface might be desirable for a testing tool, but it doesn't directly relate to the primary concern which is highlighted in the scenario. So which is the automatic test across multiple platforms for the newly developed application. Now the last one, option D, ignoring the popularity of the testing tools in the market. So considering a tool's popularity in the market does not specifically address the challenge of multi-platform test automation. So this one is incorrect as well. Question number 3. What attributes are essential for an effective test environment in automation? A. Inflexibility, slow issue resolution, and complexity in maintenance. B. Adaptability, quick problem diagnosis, and ease of maintenance. C. Limited support for new features, rigidity, and intricate integration processes. And D. Static environment, resistance to changes, and restricted diagnostic capabilities. And the correct answer is B. Adaptability, quick problem diagnosis, and ease of maintenance. Okay, so an effective test environment in automation requires attributes like adaptability to changes in the SUT over time, the ability to rapidly diagnose and resolve automation issues, and ease of maintaining automation components. So these qualities are very integral to creating a successful GTAA. Now let's have a look at the incorrect options. Option A, inflexibility, slow issue resolution, and complexity in maintenance. So the qualities needed for a good test environment are the opposite of being inflexible, slow in solving problems, and complex to maintain. So these traits would slow down the automation process and will actually make it harder. Then we have option C, limited support for new features, rigidity, and intricate integration processes. So an effective test environment in automation that it requires the ability to support new features, flexibility rather than rigidity, and streamlined integration processes. So option C suggests limitations which would block the adaptability and efficiency needed for an effective automation setup. So hence this is the incorrect option. And D, static environment, resistance to changes, and restricted diagnostic capabilities. The attributes mentioned in this option contradict the desired characteristics of an effective test automation environment in automation, which should be dynamic, it should be adaptable to changes, and capable of diagnosing and resolving issues efficiently. Hence this one is incorrect as well. Question 4. Why is it essential to identify control and visibility characteristics within the software under test SUT for effective test automation? And the options are: to solely rely on UI interactions for comprehensive testing, B, to overlook the testability guidelines for the SUT, C, to aid in the creation of effective automated tests, and D, to ignore crucial elements and interactions within the SUT. And the correct answer is option C, to aid in the creation of effective automated test. When testers understand and identify these control and visibility aspects within the SUT, it allows them to develop more comprehensive and robust automated tests. So such tests can cover a wider scope and addressing different functionalities and scenarios beyond what UI-based test alone can accomplish. Now let's see the other options which are incorrect. Option A, to solely rely on UI interactions for comprehensive testing. While UI interactions are essential for certain types of testing, relying solely on them for comprehensive testing can lead to gaps in test coverage because it will be overlooking critical functionalities and potentially creating a less maintainable test suite. So it's important to complement UI based testing with other forms of testing that cover a broader spectrum of the SUT for a more comprehensive and effective test strategy. Then the next one, B, to overlook the testability guidelines for the SUT. This one is incorrect because identifying control and visibility characteristics within the SUT, it doesn't mean overlooking testability guidelines. Instead, actually, it aligns with these guidelines to enhance test automation effectiveness. Then option D, to ignore crucial elements and interactions within the SUT. Understanding control and visibility aspects involves digging into various components, interfaces, data flows, and functionalities within the SUT. So this exploration aims to gain insights into how different parts of the system operate and interact with each other. It's not about ignoring these aspects, but rather about understanding and utilizing them to improve the effectiveness of test automation efforts. So neglecting these important elements, it can result in incomplete or inadequate test coverage. Question number 5. Why is having a diverse mix of backgrounds preferable in a test team? And the options are to create conflicts and disagreements, B, to ensure uniformity and consistency in testing approaches, C, to limit adaptability to changing testing needs, and D, to bring varied perspectives and expertise to testing. And the correct option is D, to bring varied perspectives and expertise to testing. So having a diverse mix of backgrounds in a testing team, including domain experts and individuals with technical skills, that is advantageous as it brings different perspectives, different experiences and expertise to the testing process. So this diversity allows for a broader understanding of the software under test and enhances problem solving by considering multiple viewpoints. So let's have a look at the other incorrect options. Option A, to create conflicts and disagreements. So when we have diversity in a test team, that might lead to different opinions, but the main goal is not to start arguments. Instead, it is to use these diverse backgrounds to get better testing results by considering different perspectives. Option B, to ensure uniformity and consistency in testing approaches. A diverse mix of backgrounds does not necessarily guarantee uniformity. Instead, it promotes adaptability and a wider range of approaches to address various testing scenarios. Hence, this one is incorrect as well. And then we have option C, to limit adaptability to changing testing needs. Diversity in a test team enhances adaptability by offering different skills and perspectives, hence increasing the team's ability to tackle changing testing needs effectively. Question number 6. Why is it important to ensure visibility into the correct operation of the TAS test automation solution? So over here the question is asking why having a clear understanding of how the TAS functions and operates is important. So now let's have a look at the given options. Option A, to disregard the accuracy of the reports generated by the TAS. Option B, to increase complexity in the overall test execution statistics. Option C, to validate the accuracy and completeness of application-specific results reported by the TAS. And option D, to minimize the generation of pass-fail status reports. And the correct answer is Option C, to validate the accuracy and completeness of application-specific results reported by the TAS. So this option is correct because it relates directly to the question's focus on understanding that why it's important to know how the TAS works. So validating the accuracy and completeness of specific applications results reported by the TAS is important. It means ensuring that the TAS gives correct and complete information about the software which is being tested. This validation is essential for reliable testing outcomes. Now let's have a look at option A, to disregard the accuracy of the reports generated by the TAS. This option is incorrect because it suggests ignoring or neglecting the accuracy of the reports which generated by the TAS. The question revolves around the importance of ensuring visibility into the TAS correct operation, highlighting the importance of having a clear understanding of how the TAS functions. So disregarding the accuracy of the reports contradicts the core of the question. Then we have option B, to increase complexity in the overall test execution statistics. Intentionally increasing complexity in test execution statistics is not the purpose of or benefit of ensuring visibility into the TAS operation. Instead, the focus is on understanding how the TAS operates to ensure accurate, reliable, and understandable test execution statistics. Then we have option D, to minimize the generation of pass or fail status reports. So this option suggests reducing the creation of reports that indicate whether specific tests have passed or failed. Minimizing reports does not contribute to understanding how the TAS operates or ensuring its accuracy. It only tells the quantity of generated reports, which is not the primary focus of the question. Question number 7. Why are tests executed often as part of regression testing considered suitable for automation? Option A, because they are new tests yet to be developed. Option B, because they test functionalities that we already know well in the SUT. Option C, because they require manual execution to reduce their execution time. Option D, as they are irrelevant to the regression testing process. And the correct answer is option B, because they test functionalities that we already know well in the SUT. So this option highlights that these tests already cover functionalities within the SUT that are well known and understood. Automating these tests is helpful because they deal with familiar functions, which makes testing efficient and dependable. And this saves time and also ensures a consistent verification of the critical parts of the system. Option A, because they are new tests yet to be developed. So the tests suitable for automation in regression testing, they are not necessarily new. They are the ones which are already in place and frequently executed to ensure system stability. So this one is incorrect. Option C, because they require manual execution to reduce their execution time. It is incorrect because it states that these tests require manual execution to reduce their execution time. But the statement in the question, it suggests the opposite. Automating tests executed often in regression testing, they are intended to decrease execution time by using automation and eliminating the need for human intervention. Then we have option D, as they are irrelevant to the regression testing process. This one is incorrect because these tests are actually important and relevant to regression testing. Automating these tests is essential to ensure their consistent and repeated execution, which is important for maintaining system stability and verifying that the system it functions correctly after changes. Question number 8. What is the primary purpose of employing code coverage tools in the context of automated test? Option A, to identify and fix bugs in the code. Option B, to measure the speed of test execution. C, to quantify the effectiveness of test coverage. And D, to validate user interface functionalities. And the correct answer is to quantify the effectiveness of test coverage. This one is correct because code coverage tools, they are primarily used to quantify the effectiveness and extent of test coverage across the code base. These tools analyzes which parts of the code has been tested by the automated test pack, and by examining the code coverage they provide valuable insights into how much of the code is tested, which is quite useful. Then we have the other incorrect options. Option A, to identify and fix bugs in the code. The primary aim of code coverage tools when used with automated tests, it's not specifically to discover and fix bugs in the code. Instead, their main purpose is to assess and measure the extent of the test coverage across the code base to ensure a comprehensive evaluation of the tested code rather than solely focusing on bug identification and resolution. Then we have option B, to measure the speed of test execution. So while the speed of test execution, that is an important consideration in testing, especially in optimizing the test cycle, but code coverage tools specifically do not focus on measuring or enhancing the speed of test execution. So this one is incorrect as well. Then option D, to validate user interface functionalities. These tools are not specifically designed to validate user interface functionality, so this one is incorrect. Question number 9. So we have a scenario over here. You are a part of the testing team in an organization responsible for evaluating the TAS used for ongoing projects. As the project progresses, there is a need to determine if the current TAS aligns adequately with the evolving requirements of the SUT. This includes considering whether the existing implementation techniques remain valid or if an extension or new architecture is required to accommodate the SUT's changing needs. Why is it essential for the testing team to assess the alignment of the existing TAS with the evolving SUT? The options are to meet tight project deadlines, B, to ensure the efficiency and effectiveness of test automation, C, to completely eliminate human involvement in testing, or D, to secure additional funding for the testing team. And the correct answer is B, to ensure the efficiency and effectiveness of test automation. This one is correct because assessing the alignment of the TAS with the evolving SUT is important to ensure that the test automation remains efficient and effective. This evaluation helps in ensuring that the automating testing tools and processes, they are suitable and adaptable to the changing needs of the SUT. Option A, to meet tight project deadlines. The key focus here is on evaluating whether the existing TAS aligns adequately with the evolving needs of the SUT and not at meeting strict project timelines. Then option C, to completely eliminate human involvement in testing. So while test automation aims to reduce manual efforts, the primary goal of evaluating TAS and SUT alignment is not focused on eliminating human involvement in testing. Human involvement might still be necessary, especially in decision making, designing test cases, and interpreting results. So eliminating human involvement is not the main purpose of assessing the TAS and SUT alignment. And the last one is option D, to secure additional funding for the testing team. The main goal here is to ensure that the test automation tools and processes remain efficient and effective in accommodating the changing needs of the SUT. Although funding can help in supporting these efforts, it's not the primary reason for this assessment. And the last question is, What is the primary objective of confirmation testing following a code fix for a reported defect? And the options are to identify new defects in the system, to validate the overall system performance, to ensure the defect has been properly addressed and no longer exists, or to implement additional code changes. And the correct answer is C, to ensure the defect has been properly addressed and no longer exists. Confirmation testing aims to verify that the applied code fix has resolved the reported defect, ensuring it no longer exists in the system. Hence, this one is the correct option. Option A, to identify new defects in the system. While testing may uncover new defects, the primary goal of confirmation testing is to ensure the resolution of the reported defect rather than identifying new issues. Hence, this one is the incorrect option. Option B, to validate the overall system performance. Confirmation testing focuses on validating the fix for the specific reported defect, not assessing the overall system performance. So this one is incorrect. D, to implement additional code changes. Confirmation testing, as we have already seen, that it's performed to verify the effectiveness of the applied fix, not necessarily to implement further code changes. So this option is also incorrect. I hope that you have found these practice questions useful and they have helped you with building your confidence in this chapter. In next session, we will start chapter number 7. Till then, take care and happy testing.